Welcome to Money Making Conversations. I am your host, Rushion McDonald. As I do every week on this show, I always tell people to stop reading other people's success stories and start writing your own. I always tell people who talk about their gifts and their passion, lead with your gifts. And don't let your age, friends, family, or coworkers stop you from planning or living your dreams. My interviews provide the consumer, which is you and business owners and entrepreneurs, access to celebrities, CEOs, entrepreneurs, and people I like to call industry decision makers. My next guest is an industry decision maker. Her name is Sunni Hickman. She's the Vice President of Marketing and Sales for the Harlem Globetrotters. You know the Harlem Globetrotters, the world famous Harlem Globetrotters. They've been showcased in iconic talents in 124 countries and territories on 6 continents since they were founded in 1926. 1926. Sunni Hickman is the creative powerhouse behind the Harlem Globetrotters 2021 relaunch, orchestrating a team of hand-picked specialists. She ushered the iconic brand through a renewed focus on black culture, baller life, and social justice. Making decisions like that to a legendary brand does not come without proper planning. Sunni is on the show to discuss her career and these successful brand changes to the Harlem Globetrotters. Please welcome to Money Making Conversations, Sunni Hickman.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Sunni, I like to believe I laid it out pretty proper about
You did.
iconic. You those big words. With a brand that I grew up on. I'm gonna go all the way back to 1926. Why was the Harlem Globetrotters started?
The Harlem Globetrotters were started to really bring this celebrate when basketball, bring this style of play to the country in a time where the Harlem Renaissance was just permeating around the country. And there was this style of play that came from these African-American ballers that a gentleman named Abe Saperstein had the fortitude to say, people need to see this and experience it. So that's what started the Harlem Globetrotters.
Well, so I'm assuming when you say that it was tied to maybe a denial of the black athlete for participating in the white sport that they desire, and so they were left with just playing against themselves, like the Negro League, and a
Yep.
lot of leagues that were developed out there. The most famous is the Negro League because of baseball and the Jackie Robinson. But there were other situations out there in football, in basketball that were not publicized. And I guess you can say, in a way, the Harlem Globetrotters was basketball version of the Negro League. Is that correct in assessing that?
It is, and there were other, black basketball teams that were playing during that time, when they weren't able to play, in the NBA, before the NBA was integrated. I think the Harlem Globetrotters really were the team that put it to a whole nother level and brought integration into the NBA. A little known fact is Harlem Globetrotters would actually play a game before the NBA game back in the day. Mm-hmm. And as it would turn out is more people would come see the Harlem Globetrotters game than the NBA. So then they switched. The NBA team would play first, and then the Globetrotters would play afterwards because they were the ones who were drawing the fans.
Right, people packing up their clothes, leaving. I got my
That's
snacks,
right.
my coat. I'm out. I've seen what I came to see. Okay,
That's right.
I know we all people. Sunni, who's hearing this interview, I'm talking to Sunni Hickman, the Vice President of Marketing and Sales for the Harlem Globetrotters. When we talk about I can have vivid memories of watching ABC, Wide Worlds of Sports, just laughing at these guys who had incredible skill and making amazing shots. When were the Harlem Globetrotters introduced into your life, and when they were introduced into your life as a teen, as a youngster, what effect did they have on the Harlem Globetrotters have on you?
Oh, wonderful question. So I was introduced to the Harlem Globetrotters through Scooby-Doo, when the Globetrotters were on Scooby-Doo,
right.
as well as, right, remember that? That was when I learned, and then Wide World of Sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to see the Globetrotters there, and then when they cameoed on Gilligan's Island. So when the Globetrotters were really deep into pop culture, that's really when I learned them. My mom never could afford to take me and my siblings to see them live, so I never saw the Harlem Globetrotters live growing up. But I remember that flash and flair and funny and fun of the Globetrotters growing up.
Well, it's really interesting. Like I've actually had the pleasure of visiting your headquarters, and it's almost like walking through a museum. And it's so much history, and it defines certain lanes, and then how the Globetrotters had an impact on our lives. Because even though they were entertainers, they also were crossing international lines. They also were entertainers that everybody could relate to, and especially white America. And that's
Hmm.
all I saw when I watched ABC Wild Wars of Sport was an audience, a stadium, or arena filled with white people. What is the audience makeup of what the Globetrotters is attracting right now?
Hmm. So I was talking. I'll tell you a quick story as I answer this question. I was talking to Coach Lou Dunbar, sweet Lou
Hmm.
Dunbar. He's one of our legends
Okay,
and
let me just tell you
continues to
something.
coach.
Louis Dunbar graduated from my college, University of Houston. So I know Louis Dunbar, 6'9" and a half, point guard,
That's
point
a
forward.
door.
Come on, now you can just stop talking
Yes.
to me, Sonny. So you gonna just throw out Louis Dunbar like I didn't know who you were talking about. Louis Dunbar, come on. He was a point forward before they were point forwards. I know him very well. University of Houston
Hmm.
graduate, Louis Dunbar. Continue, continue,
Hmm.
continue.
So I will continue. Right. So for your audience, they may not have known Sweet Lou like we do. So now we put them up on game, spread a little game. So Coach Lou shared with me once, like people would ask them that question, like, why would you not spin the ball on the fingers of the little, black boys or girls at a game? And he would say, I couldn't get to them. They were so far up in the stands because of the tickets that they were able to purchase that he couldn't do that. So people of color were there in small numbers, but the Globetrotters were primarily entertaining white audiences and have been doing that for decades. And as culture has shifted, right, as this love of basketball has evolved, that's where we need and want to be. We want our audience to reflect the kaleidoscope of colors of the globe that we touch and that our players visit.
Well, the interesting thing about it because of the fact that the Globetrotters do touch and they do they do tricks that and I say that, I'm gonna tell you something. Saying the word trick, I think, is an insult. They have a skill set that
Mm,
they've developed, whether it was the half court hook shot or dribbling between the legs or the half court shots. Which now, when you see what Steph Curry's doing, they was doing in the Globetrotters a long time
right.
ago. Okay, half court 3-point shots.
That's
That was
right.
part of the Globetrotters mantra of how their skill set. And so
That's right.
some people have called tricks have not become part of the NBA style of play, the 3-point shot. And so when you see that transition, in order for you to come in and be a part of this, you have to come from somewhere. You have to build your resume from somewhere, Sonny. So I saw Dollywood and talk about developing your brand, walking through these different structures of
Mm,
success, and also you as an individual, a person of color going in these different lanes where people expect you to be a certain way and you show them that you're able to relate and be able to communicate and market to all. Tell to us, Sonny.
ooh, Rushan. So that flash and flare of the game of basketball. So basketball runs deep in my roots.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom raised four kids. She was a big Larry Bird and Magic Johnson fan. So in our household,
79,
since she was about
1979.
that's
I know it.
that's right. And then I grew up, watching Michael Jordan. I was a big North Carolina fan when J.R. Reed played. Like that was my squad. My husband is a basketball coach.
Mm.
My son plays basketball. He's in college playing basketball now. So I've been around basketball a lot. And I like to think that I'm an assistant coach,
Okay, okay.
except for
But
my
can you
husband
dribble a
pushes me way
basketball?
down the
That's all I want to know,
sideline.
Sonny. Can you dribble a basketball? Come on.
I got a mean crossover when nobody's around.
I know when somebody start talking about everybody else, everybody else, they will say nothing about because you start bragging on yourself first. Now I got a hook shot, I got a jumper from the corner,
That's right.
I got a between the legs, I got a around the back. You ain't say nothing about yourself. You talk about your mama, you talk about your husband, you talk about your son, and you went, and I'm a mean coach.
That's right. I'm dope on the sideline. But I was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader through high school and at Clark Atlanta University. So I'm a proud HBCU alum. I know you had our president on the show recently.
I love it.
So I got to cheer and coach from the sidelines for a long time, right? So my journey, and as I built out, who I am is one part of it. I would say my time at an historically Black college at Clark Atlanta. Our motto was find a way or make one.
Right.
And that translated not just in the classroom, but it really was in life. And it goes even beyond that. I was, raised, by my brothers who had sort of the mindset of like, forge your path, know who you are and know who you ain't. Anyone that sort of doubts you or underestimates you, use that as fuel to drive your passion and be trusting and open. So God has been, my guide of my life for me and my family. For years, we were those kids that we'd be at church all day. We'd be there for Sunday school service as well as potluck. So we were in the church a lot. And so my faith is really important. So kind of what led me kind of on this path is I believe that nothing's impossible.
Right.
And I don't have this over confidence, but I do believe in determination and hard work. So putting in the extra hours and being okay and confident walking in the doors, even if there's no one in that room that looks like you, being confident and trusting and open in who I am and what I'm capable of has really been one of the things that have driven me. When I went to the Dollywood Company, I was, one of less than, 5 African Americans in the management team. I was one of 2 in leadership. And it was such a special culture there. Dolly Parton believed we opened our doors at Dollywood to all people every day, regardless. And the desire was, how do we create experiences for families that are worth repeating? Regardless to what color you are and your background, everybody's here for that, right? Something that's meaningful, something that's special, something that's memorable. So that's really at the root. I sort of know my why. I know what my purpose is, and my purpose is to really help to influence people to just spend time together. And now the basketball, that round ball, has been uniting families and uniting people of all walks of life for decades. I just got the rock.
Right.
And have the opportunity through the Globetrotters, who have been trailblazers, who've been breaking down barriers, who with where society is and how racial injustice is truly at the forefront, right, has reached this pinnacle where there's zero tolerance from, our next generation. I'm able to help use basketball as a means to really deliver that message on behalf of our players and the Globetrotters way and what they've been doing for 95 years.
Well, an interesting thing about it because, I'm just trying to put the right words in perspective just to sum my point of view. When because the Globetrotter brand is like court jesters. They're out there, they're having their good fun, and sometimes they're having that good time in front of white people. And then when the George Floyd hit, and I'm pretty sure there was a perception, or maybe it wasn't a perception, of what role does the Globetrotters play in turning that corner of who are they speaking for, and what brand or what culture are they trying to represent? And you looked at it and said, hey, we are a black brand, we are a black culture, and social justice has to be part of the messaging. Was that a difficult spin? Was it a difficult spin for your players to understand, or your player felt it was a breath of fresh air when you introduced these new ideas or these new cultural changes to the Harlem Globetrotters? Because Harlem Globetrotters are what they are. They're basketball phenoms, male and female. But again, what are they off the court? That's what I believe. That's the story you're trying to tell now, correct?
Absolutely. The Harlem Globetrotters players are superheroes both on and off the court. And any player that you speak to and they talk about the legacy of the shoulders in which they stand on, of the great Curly Neals and the Meadowlark Lemons, of the Sweet Lou Dunbars, of, their desire to just spread love, this idea of spreading game, of being that phenomenal player, that athlete on the court, but really being that hero, that inspiration, that motivation off the court. And I think that's something that hasn't been seen of, well, what are the Harlem Globetrotters like outside of the jersey?
Right.
Because that's where the personal bond, right, is made. That's how us as people find our heroes, find our stars, find those, individuals that we look up to. It's who you are inside and outside the jersey, when you have your superhero strength going and when you don't. And that's really been the focus, and sort of the why and the why now. Our purpose of the Globetrotters is world-class basketball showmanship, uniting families and spreading joy. And we've lost our relevance and our ability to do that. As culture has evolved, you sort of said it. We've been these basketball phenoms, kind of considered, right, these tricks that they do and this experience that they create. We've had some fans for decades, but we've had people that are also saying, are the Globetrotters still around?
Right.
So, right. And that just hurts, right? That hurts. So we want to reach that younger 8 to 10-year-old African-American boy and his parents. And if we start to look at that, because they're synonymous with basketball culture, basketball is synonymous with style, and the halo effect that African-Americans have on culture, on brands, on businesses, we believe that is going to appeal and draw the next generation of fans. So the elephant in the room, people ask, well, does that mean you don't want your Caucasian families, the families who love the Globetrotters and have always loved the Globetrotters, you don't want them as fans anymore? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is really it's an and, not an or. And it's important for us to open ourselves up to be relevant in the culture.
Right.
So that we can see that 100th year anniversary, and we have generations coming up that love the Globetrotters in the same way that those from the past have.
Well, you have to stand for something, and that's what you were just saying, and you're saying that other than basketball, other than trick artists, other than entertainers, for longevity purposes, what do you stand? And if you stand somewhere and it has a basis of reality, authenticity, as they like to say nowadays, a sense of purpose, as they like to say nowadays,
that's right.
And that's what you find, that's what you built back into the Harlem Globetrotters, because that's why they were founded in 1926. That's why they were created, because they were a voice of to show you can do this too. We can travel the world, we'd be respected, we can earn income because of our talents. And that's what I believe you switched back to that in a good way, because it was needed. And then what happens within the day-to-day life, the Harlem Globetrotters become relevant, because at one time, only time I heard news about the Harlem Globetrotters when they were doing some sensational trick, either shooting a ball off the top of a building, shooting a ball from a helicopter, that's when they made the news, Now they're making the news because of a brand that's socially conscious and aware of their fan base and their fans. And that's what you're saying. You're not trying to turn away your fans. You're just trying to say, this is who we are. Welcome us for who we are, because you're welcoming us because of our talents. Except that, because that's the only way you're going to get growth from the young people, because the young people are about authenticity. And that's what you're trying to reach. Having a fan that's 50, 60 years old, that is not going to grow your ticket sales. Having a fan starting at 5, 10, 15, they're going to have kids. And when they have kids, they're going to have more kids. So it becomes a generational growth. And that's what National Football League has figured out. And that's what you're trying to do right now with the Harlem Globetrotters. In your mind, is it working?
Wow, we're at the beginning of the beginning. So we stepped out in our Jay-Z allow me to reintroduce myself moment on July 21st in a bold way. And we are touching every aspect, of the brand and business, because as you said, ticket sales are important, and that's really been the cornerstone of our business. But really, we're re-evolving the Globetrotters to a branded entertainment company that also tours. Right. So if our fans want to engage and connect with us in YouTube, where that's where they like to be entertained, well, that's where we want to be. Apparel and product If that's what they use to sort of identify, the brands that share the same values, right? That mean something to them. We want to be in those spaces and places as well. That's why we changed our uniforms. The Globetrotters have never had a black uniform, with the red, white, and blue. We partnered with Undercrown, Dustin Cannellan, and Carrie Cruz, who are just fantastic lifestyle designers to really modernize but maintain the tradition.
Right.
So that is what we've done in terms of looks. So is it working? I think the response and the engagement that we've seen from fans has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal.
And that's the key.
We are just ramping up. We have brands that are, that magnet is being created, and our players. It's really about how we elevate our players as stars. And the more we start to see that happen, where people know by name, oh, I love Lateef Jet Rivers because he has that killer crossover, but he can cook a mean beef brisket.
Yes,
right?
Yes,
or
yes,
his
yes,
TikToks are out of control. So once we start to see that, then we know that it's really crystallizing. But right now, the early indicators are fantastic, but we are just getting started. I refer to us as we're a 95-year-old startup.
Oh, well, I'm happy to be there with you. Now, you mentioned something, Clark Atlanta University, an HBCU that's in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm doing an event over there, September 25th, called HBCU College Day. And it's on the campus. And what I'm doing is I'm bringing all the HBCUs from the state of Georgia. And some are coming from Alabama and from North Carolina. And I got Morgan Stanley. I got some. I got the Big Brothers Big Sisters. I got the NFL.
Yeah.
All the Coca-Cola United bottlers are involved.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm trying to do is I'm getting all the high school students to come in. We're doing social distancing. Masks will be available. Sanitizer will be available. To come to Clark Atlanta University to get the HBCU experience. We're going to have DJ there. We're going to have steppers. We're going to have drum lines. And we're going to have speakers. And I think it'll be a perfect. And we're going to have my man DJ Mars is going to be spinning. He's going to have a BMX bike shop set up. And then the military is going to have an actual F-16 jet there and a hangar there. And we're going to have the Air Force there, the Air National Guard there. I just think, when you said Clark Atlanta University, an alumni, and you're the vice president of marketing, I think I got to have a Globetrotter there at least as a representative showing off this new uniform. Now, I'm not trying to put no pressure on you. But I didn't know nothing about Clark Atlanta University. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you I was doing this big event September 25th that the whole city's going to know about in a couple of weeks. I'm going to start advertising on all the radio stations. I just think that'd be cool to really bring that brand down there just to showcase it just in a very organic manner because it's on the campus where you are from, you graduated from. And we are trying to just bring the HBCU experience to all the students in the state of Georgia, high school students and young juniors and seniors who attend Clark Atlanta, Spelman, and they can get Fortune 500 jobs. Companies are going to be there recruiting. We're going to have HBCU college recruiters and military recruiters. So that's what HBCU College Day. I just want to just bring that up to you and say, hey, an invite is on your desk right now to come down there with your troop or one or two or however you want to do it because I think it'll be special.
Oh, that is fantastic. As we say at Clark Atlanta, we will find a way or make one.
Oh, good. Because like I said, because I'll be hosting it. I will host it, and we're going to have a stage, 20 by 40-foot stage, and we'll be sitting there doing our thing. And it's going to be really great. And, Dr. French is probably going to be there. He's the president of Clark Atlanta University, who I've developed a really nice relationship. But it's about your brand and bringing it into natural relationships. And I just thought at least I'll be remiss if I didn't bring that up because I think that when you said a certain smile and certain pride came out of you when you said Clark Atlanta University.
Right. That's right. We can't help it. And partnerships with HBCUs, especially as we sort of look across our business, we want to, again, with our staff, with our team, to sort of reflect, again, the audience that we want to serve. So how we start to look and recruit and look at developing programs with HBCUs, right, to sort of what are some of the opportunities within live entertainment, live events, the touring industry that these students might even don't know exist for them. So cultivating those relationships are all about it. We're developing a certificate program with Savannah State that is for live events and entertainment to really start to teach the coursework. So whether you want to work at a venue, State Farm Arena, or you want to work on a traveling tour, like our Harlem Globetrotters tour, what does that look like? What's the skill set? What do you study? What's that curriculum? And then the desire is then that then gets rolled out at other HBCUs around the country. So we're excited about that partnership with Savannah State, and any opportunity to get back to my campus, I'm all about it. I might have to call my cheerleaders.
I'm gonna give you a booth.
My best friend's the head coach.
Hearing all this extra stuff, I'm gonna give you a 10x10 booth. So if you want to use that 10x10 booth to decorate in the Harlem Globetrotter and bring some people down, please know the gift is yours, because that's Savannah State information you just gave me, and your passion for developing that brand relationship with HBCUs. It's where I'm at in my life, about trying to, just step it up. ESPN a couple of years ago, I went over there with Stephen A. Smith and David Roberts, and they allowed me to broadcast the First Take for 2 hours. And we've, over the last couple of years, we've registered 2,000 students to attend HBCUs and raised $11 million in scholarship dollars. And so I know that's one of my legacies I'm building in my life. And just to hear you being a proud graduate, I just had to bring that up. And definitely off air, I get my team to talk to your people, because it's going to be September 25th. That's a Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I definitely like to see the Harlem Globetrotters down there. But before we go, two things I want to talk about is the Spread the Game tour and the Dear NBA letter.
I'd be happy to. So our Spread Game tour, as we relaunched the Globetrotters, we started touring in July, and we're visiting several cities around the country. It's everything that you love about the Globetrotters, and then some. So that flash and flair of the game, it is entertaining. You're going to see that, the skillfulness of our players. We partnered with some folks from Broadway. So that was one of the gifts for us when our business came to a screeching halt during the pandemic, was Broadway's did too. And we wanted to reimagine what our show experience was. So we partnered with the Broadway team. So there's some new characters that you'll meet. I kind of describe it, it's like an all-star Saturday night where you see that incredible deep range shooting, dunks that are out of this world, and the ball handling and some beautiful passes. I'm dating myself, in living color.
Right.
So if you like that, if you put those scenes together, that's what you're going to get in the Spread Game tour. The music is just fantastic. It's just a good time. So we'll continue touring through September. We'll be announcing some additional dates for the tour that'll be coming later this year. So that'll be coming. Though we're going to take a timeout in touring in September, just to kind of amp up the show and experience and get ready for a second run that's going to start in December, is when the next set of dates will be coming to several cities around the country, as well as we'll be going back out internationally. And then you're going to ask about the Dear NBA. So our letter to the NBA, is that what you're referring to?
Yes, I was asking. I got to know.
So we talked about this at the start. The NBA would not be what it is today had it not been for the Harlem Globetrotters. So we were trailblazers in integrating the game of basketball, and we love what the NBA has grown and become. And we think that we deserve a franchise. So as the NBA commissioner has been exploring that idea of new franchises, new teams, we want to be one of those teams. And we think that it'll bring just this win-win for the NBA as well as fans, that, some of that Globetrotter style of bringing that into the NBA experience would be just fantastic. We would field the right level of talent that would be needed for an NBA franchise, while continuing to do our more entertainment show style tours really separately. But the response from fans has just been fantastic, and we really look forward to the opportunity to talk to the commissioner about this opportunity.
That's pretty powerful. Well, I'm talking to Sunni Hickman, the Vice President of Marketing and Sales for the Harlem Globetrotters, and a proud Clark Atlanta University graduate. And she's a mean basketball coach.
That's right. That's famous.
Sunni,
we just want to spread a little game.
Thank you for coming on Money Making Conversation. I really appreciate it.
It has been an honor. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. If you want to hear or see any of my interviews on Money Making Conversations, please go to moneymakingconversation.com. I'm Rushion McDonald. I am your host.